Okay, now we're going to show you how to create a line chart using the Visual Data Tools, linking it with an Excel sheet. To set the scene up, what we're going to do is use another plugin within the DataPool plugins called Data Reader. So I'm going to drag a group down here and we're just going to call this one Data if you want to rename it. We're going to go into our built-ins, into the container plugins, into the data folder, and we're going to come down and look for the Data Reader plugin, and we're going to drag this onto our scene here. Before we drag the line chart into the scene, what we want to do is set up our Data Reader here, and we have a query type. So we are using Excel, so we'll need to know a couple of things about our Excel sheet. So I'm going to go into our Excel sheet here. We'll open it up, and a couple of things that we'll need to know is one, the table or the tab that we're using down here. I have 3 tabs in my Excel sheet. We're going to use this one labeled stock. We're also going to need to know the upper left value here, which is called a key value. I named mine N. You could call yours anything else. We'll also need to know the name of some of these titles or which column we want to read here. And you can see my columns are just numerical values here that we could come in and add or take away if need be and or change. Lastly, we're going to need to know the name of this file and where it resides. So firstly, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to get the location of my file here, and if you just want to type it in and or copy it, you can. We'll go into our DataPool plugin here, the Data Reader, and under here, under file name, we're going to type in where the file location is, and then we're going to hit backslash, and we need the file name. My file name is class2.xlsm. You need the extension of what it's saved at as well. Next, we need to know the table or the sheet, which refers to these tabs down here. So we are using stock in ours. I'm going to type in stock right there. Next, we need to know the key. So I'm going to type in N a while. Now, before I go any further, I want to come down to this field is a selection box. Instead of using data table, I'm going to use shared memory. And when we do that, it opens up another selection type here, and the shared memory type should be set to scene. Now I'm going to come up to this fields to read, and this is which column I want to choose to read. So I could select any title here within my columns here to use this data. So we're going to type in the column name Pry right there. Finally, I'm going to come down to my shared memory variable here and take note of this name. Right now it's just set to VAR. I'm going to leave it as is, but we will need to know the name of that. I want to go into my Visual Data Tools now and drag them in. So I'm going to go into my built-ins, into the geometry plugins, into the Visual Data Tools, and we're going to drag this line chart up into the scene tree. I'm going to click on the line chart now, and first thing that we're going to do is change this shared memory drop down to scene. And then we're going to change this key data Y here, must match what we have in our shared memory variable. So this name here, I wanted to type in to our line chart. So I'll type in VAR, it's case sensitive. We want to check our data delimiter here, which is a comma. So we have the VAR must match the name within the shared memory type. Now, if you're confident you have your data set up here within the Data Reader plugin, go ahead and save and close your Excel sheet. It will not work with the Excel sheet open. If you have your Excel sheet closed, you can come into your Data Reader and hit the load button. Before you do that, you may want to save the scene and then come over to your Data Reader and you hit the load button and it will load the data. Now this is reading the prices field. You can go into your Excel sheet if you don't know the name of the other columns, and you can certainly change the other columns there to read the other columns. For now, since we do have our prices coming in, there's some other options you can do within the line chart. So for instance, we have our data xfit. We can turn this on. We can spread this out a little bit more. Now you can see how it was all scrunched up when it came in. So these are all the variables that you need to work with, depending how many variables you may be sending to the scene. So you just may want to set this to a certain point where it's always going to fit, no matter how many points you have. There's also a data Y fit, so you can also do the same, adjust the Y points here so that they'll never be off the screen if the data goes too high. Moving down a little bit further here, you have options such as width, again, that you can spread out some more. You have thickness of the lines, you have a depth here, and if we go into our server and drag a material onto here, you'll be able to see the depth a little bit more. Now you see some of the shading. So this is kind of has some 3D properties to it built in. And the depth and thickness is down here. You can adjust the depth through the depth setting. The thickness, again, will adjust the thickness of the line. Again, up top, there's a selection for linear mode, a spline mode, and when you change this, you get different options down here as well. So if you needed to smooth this out a little bit, you could use the tessellation settings. There's a constrained spline, which changes it again. And like the previous ones, we have a start and a stop percentage here. So if we wanted to animate this on or have it animate on every time, you load up the scene, you can have it animate on by keyframing this value right here. And that means no matter how many data points you actually have, it should always animate on if this is up to 100%. If you needed to place a pointer on here for the data points, you could do that as well. A pointer is just another container. So if we were to go into our built-ins and we had another container here, such as a sphere or something, and let's just drop a material on it as well. We'll be able to see that. And we wanted to mark a certain spot on a line. We'll scale this down a little bit. Let's make it red. And you could go into your line chart, use this container. So we'll drag this sphere container into the pointer here. And now you can use the position offset here to place this pointer where you want. There's actually an offset as well, so you can offset it off at the line a little bit. And if you wanted this to follow, you could place this wherever you want to on the line to mark a certain point on your line chart. So that's how you get the data from Excel into a Visual Data Tool line chart.